Kia ora, folks. Welcome to the fucking Woo Woo podcast. My name's Tommy. I'm a parent, therapist, medicine person, musician, and I'm here to help in some way if I can. That's been my life's calling. That is the whole reason I'm here. And I don't mean that in some grandiose, lofty way, like I'm literally here to help in whatever way I can be of service. If that means cleaning the latrines, if that means helping with the dishes, peeling the potatoes, you let me know. That's what I'm here to do. It is my truest desire to be of help to humanity in whatever humble way I can be of help to humanity. And I think a lot of people feel that way. I was walking on the beach one morning feeling lost, feeling maybe a little bit, maybe I was feeling some guilt or insecurity or shame or something. And I was like, well, by what basis would I judge myself as being adequate or inadequate? And I thought, well, what the fuck am I, what are my values? Like, what do I want to do in this life? Like, what do I want from this life? You know, there was no part of me was saying I want to be rich. There was no part of me saying I want to sleep with a lot of women. There's no part of me saying I want fancy things. It was like, my intention in this lifetime is to be of service. I want to help people. And I was like, sweet. And are you doing that? I was like, yeah, that's what I do. Like, I'm literally a therapist for a living, and I support a bunch of different friends and family in my greater community. For free. I think if you're getting paid, you can't say being a therapist, oh, well, therefore I'm a good person, because, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm sure there's a lot of therapists and doctors and nurses and teachers and stuff and, different professions that are helping who are not necessarily, generous spirited. I'm not saying, not every single person who gets paid to do something kind is necessarily benevolent and kind, I probably, the way I view the word, I probably say the lion's share are. I'm just saying it's not intrinsic part of the role. And I was like, yeah, my whole intention is to love people and to be good to people, to be ethical and to be kind, to be thoughtful, considerate, caring and generous. And yeah, I'm tracking all right. I was like, sweet. Or maybe I can stop being so fucking nervous then, so fucking anxious. So fucking self-conscious that I'm not doing a good job. An energy came through me yesterday. It's a part of me that I have referred to as the Queen or Cleopatra. I'm not calling her Cleopatra anymore. I don't think she likes that name. And she told me not to talk about her, so I'm not going to talk about her. She said, don't talk about me on your fucking podcast. I said, I won't. So this is not me doing that. Don't freak out. I'm not going to say any of the shit you told me yesterday, though I would love to tell them. I would fucking love to tell you. Let me know if I can, in a few weeks' time, express what you said to me yesterday. But I won't. Don't worry. I'm not going to. But I will talk about something, guys. Sometimes when I'm talking to my inner children, sometimes when I'm meditating, sometimes when I'm saying prayers, there is a part of me that is nervously, self-consciously saying, oh, you might get it wrong. You might miss someone. You might offend God because you didn't say the right words. You might offend Mother Nature. You might offend the ocean because you haven't said it enough. Or you said this, for when you did your karakia to Ranginui, you talked about pollution and apologizing for mankind. And when you did your, karakia to Tangaroa, you didn't mention the pollution. So now he's going to feel left out. It's like, I can get obsessive compulsive about doing things right still. You know what I mean? I told you about having obsessive compulsive disorder as a kid. It can come through in how I can be sitting there meditating thinking, oh, I should have burnt this candle. I should have fucking done this. When I'm on my knees in the morning doing my karakia, I'm like, oh, you fucking said Aior, but you didn't say Great Spirit, or you said consciousness, but you didn't say energy. Are you fucking kidding me? Is that how petty you think fucking consciousness is? You think God's up there fucking saying, oh, he didn't say the right word. This motherfucker's going to hell. Can you believe it? At some fucking level, some Irish Catholic fucking thing is still in my fucking DNA telling me if I get the words wrong, I might fucking burn in the lake of fire for eternity. Are you fucking kidding me? Consciousness works like that. I swear to God, guys, if God works like that, then fuck God. Fuck consciousness. If that's how they fucking operate, they're judging our fucking words while we're on our fucking knees, begging and praying and trying to give them thanks and praise and exaltations. They're fucking telling us we got the wrong words, so they're gonna fucking make it rain on our wedding day? Fuck off. Fuck that kind of spirituality. We're down here doing our fucking best. It's hard fucking enough being human without thinking that the thing that's going to save us and look after us is going to fucking punish us every fucking chance they can get. If we're flawed, it's because they made us fucking flawed. They can't have it fucking both ways. They're going to fucking punish us for being human. The only reason we're down here being human is because they put us down here to be fucking human, you know what I mean? And clearly this anger I'm expressing to you guys, it's not at consciousness or spirit, because here's the real truth about it. Consciousness and spirit isn't judging us. They don't give a fuck how we say it. They don't give a fuck if we masturbate or fart or pick our nose. They love us. They just love us. As you know, from my perspective, they are us. Like, there's no separation between us and spirit. But while we experience ourselves as separate, it's very clear to me that spirit is not the thing judging me. Spirit is not the thing counting how many times I waft the sage stick, how many circles I do with the incense, how I blow the tobacco onto the person in the ceremony room. You know what I mean? It's not great spirit who's counting. It's me, guys. It's in my head. It's in my head. It's my mind telling me I might be getting it wrong. My mind judging me. How do we get free from this judgmental mind? Even in sacred moments where I'm trying to give honor and glory to the divine, I can be beating myself up and telling myself I'm not good enough and I'm not doing it right. Not spiritual enough, not indigenous enough, not wise enough, not focused enough, not powerful enough, not magic enough, not worthy. Even in these sacred moments, I can tell myself I'm not worthy. And then a fiery, passionate, but also very grounded, very powerful energy comes in. And she can tell me I am worthy. And she can tell me I don't need to pretend. And I don't need to worry about which words I say. She could tell me that's not the point of any of this. She can tell me I'm good enough. And I always have been. She could tell me I play small far too much. Tolerate far too much. Fuck around far too much. Waste my time. She told me it doesn't matter how I say things. Doesn't matter what other people think about me. She says, do you know what you're doing? Do you know what you're here for? Then you really don't need to worry about what other people are saying about you. She's so powerful, she scares me. I worry, could I be led astray. I've never been attracted to power, folks. I've never been attracted to it. I've never wanted it. And she is very powerful. She tells me, I'm good enough in a way where I can feel her. I had a realization out on the path yesterday that I'm always telling myself I love you. I'm always telling myself that, the little different aspects of me and even the main me, I say I love you. And I realized that one of the reasons my I love yous haven't been filling me up as much as when my partner would say I love you is that it's me. It's me, Tommy, saying I love you all the time. So I'm taking care of Sophia, I'm taking care of little fella, I'm taking care of the dude I used to call the addict, but now who I call the risk taker. I'm giving them love and giving them love. But it's still me, Tommy, giving others love, taking care of them, making sure that they're being heard, making sure their needs are being met. I wasn't really, it still feels like giving love, not receiving love. And I'd started in the last few days when I'd give love to the different aspects of myself and to myself, making sure I would say it to myself, to me, Tommy, who's the giver, and I love you, Tommy. And there's a part of me which I call the Father. I was trying to see if it was non-binary, if I had a similar amount of feminine and masculine aspects, and this aspect could maybe be neither, but the quality and the sensibility, certain energetic aspects, I think it's undeniable that it's more a father. Though equally, there's the mother, and that's not the energy who came through just before then. But perhaps it's the father who I connect with the most, because it's a father I never had in real life. He gives me love. But when he's giving me love, I feel like I am him giving love to me, so I'm always in the place of giving. It was a realization that anyway, I'll continue to seek love and support from a female partner. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, by the way, guys. I'm not trying to be free of that desire. Like, we do want what we want, right? But if I can find a way to not just give myself a whole lot of love, but to also receive from myself love. I'm giving it to you, and I'm giving it to you, and I'm giving it to you, but I'm never you. I'm never the one receiving it in those moments. I'm just giving it. It's not entirely true. It's kind of a metaphor as I'm saying this. It's not really how it is. I felt deeply loved by myself, and being the aspect of myself I was giving the love too many times. But I've certainly, the lion's share of the experience of giving myself love is of giving myself love, not of being myself receiving love. It was an interesting realization on the path yesterday. When I was 17 and I first got clean, I was at this beautiful, beautiful place called Queen Mary Hospital down in Hanmer Springs. It was considered the crown jewel, this is the term I was told, the crown jewel of alcohol and drug treatment centers, rehabs, in the Southern Hemisphere. It was one of the most successful and one of the most sacred residential treatment centers. I think it had been an asylum for general mental health. They would have called it insanity. And then it was taken over somehow by the government funded it to be a drug and alcohol rehab. And it was amazing, truly amazing. And that town is just incredible. I've said it before in earlier episodes, but it is a spiritual powerhouse. And they have these beautiful gardens down there called the Sacred Gardens. And I walked around the Sacred Gardens at night, riddled with anxiety and depression and fear. and doubts, because it was my third rehab and my sixth or seventh attempt at trying to get clean, and I doubted I would ever be able to make it clean and stay clean. And I would have these special feelings come up during these walks, sacred feelings. And it was on a sacred field, it was on one of these walks in another part of Hanmer, not the sacred gardens, through the pines. And I felt it again, and it helped me surrender. I'll tell the story of how I got clean, that final rehab, in a whole dedicated episode, but this is just to say I started to have these walks, and I would always talk out loud if there was no one around or I thought I could get away with it. I've always done that. As a child, before there were podcasts, I used to talk to myself to sleep from the youngest age. Mum would, read me a story or whatever, and then I'd be in bed by myself. She wouldn't stay with me till I fell asleep, and she'd say I'd just be talking non-stop until I'd fall asleep. And I remember I was talking to the world, very much like I am now, except as the little child me, I imagined I had the full 7 billion people listening, not just the 10 mates I have on this podcast. It was this desire to express, if I could express every single aspect of myself to everyone, if they knew everything about me, then I wouldn't have to feel guilty or ashamed or separate. And how I conceptualize spirit is quite interesting when you think about it, considering that was my wish as a child. Anyway, we won't dig too deeply into that. I don't want things to fall apart. It's actually the opposite. It creates an evidence base. But don't worry, we won't go into that right now. So I take these walks once I got clean, pretty much every night. In fact, I was in a kaupapa Māori theatre group, though I'm actually Pākehā, but I was in a kaupapa Māori theatre group for a year, and we would be billeted with either on the marae or with the teachers, and every night I would go out walking, and I'd find some walk, and it was in pretty much a different town every night, or at least every week, and I would find some walk, normally where I could find water, and I would take my pounamu, I had this beautiful hunko pounamu, and I would wash it in a river or a stream or a lake or something. And cleanse it. But I would walk every night, and I would be talking like I am now, and at a certain point it would feel like I had stopped being the one talking, bringing up the topics back then were almost inevitably when am I going to find my soulmate? That was the main theme. And why am I so lonely? And why don't you talk to me more clearly, God? Those were the kind of main themes. Up until I was about 25, that was what I was talking about every night. And sometimes giving up cigarettes. Anyway, depending on where I was at with that. And I would be talking for, 10, 20 minutes. And then all of a sudden, the nature of my kōrero, of the way I would speak, would change. Sometimes my voice might change a little bit. Sometimes that wasn't so evident. But all of a sudden, it would be like I was still talking out loud, but now I was listening. And the words coming through were so much more eloquent and poetic, and also concise and wise. It was like a different aspect of me was coming through, and that aspect was much, much more, wise and insightful than I was. And this aspect would come through, like not every time I would go for these walks, but pretty close to 9 out of 10. So after a while I stopped trying to meditate, because meditate wasn't working for me, and this experience of a change in consciousness, it was like a trance state, though I didn't know what trance states were back then. I wouldn't have used that term. A different flow state would come in. Maybe my brainwaves started doing what brainwaves do when you measure people in meditation, but a different aspect of me was coming through. And that aspect is still with me today, and that's the aspect that I call the Father. And I haven't talked to you guys much about him, because I suppose like him and Queen are so powerful that I would have a fear if I tried to bring them out or even discuss them, that it would in some way dishonor them. It's literally how I started this fucking podcast. I fear that if you say the truth about these things, you expose them to be myths and fantasies and phantoms, and they disappear. that none of this consciousness stuff, none of this woo-woo fucking stuff is actually real. It's all just me. We're all just in a simulation. None of us are even living. You know, on the Joe Rogan podcast, I've watched some really... Joe Rogan seems like a nice guy. Unless he's talking about women, then I don't particularly like his style. But he seems like a nice guy to me. And I have watched a bunch of his podcasts, mainly because he gets on thought leaders and scientists who I love. That's kind of how I found out about him, because there were so many cool, amazing guests on his show. And I've now seen at least 3 or 4 people try to tell him, explain to him simulation theory. And he just refuses to get it. It seems like willful obstinance at this point. For those of you who don't know, the theory is very simple. The idea is, and I'm not going to, like me, you got to Google shit, right? I'm going to fuck this up. But basically the theory is that because it is going to be so easily possible, technologically, within, say, whether it's 100 years or 1,000 years from now, to make a simulation of humanity where they do a simulation of the 2000s or a simulation of ancient Egypt or a simulation of the Middle Ages, and they will populate this simulation with characters who experience themselves as being real entities. So we're not just talking like a simulation like a video game where little things roll around, but like actually, the people viewing the simulation can go in and probably put on headsets and whatever the fuck, however humanity interface with it is kind of relevant, but they could create a simulation of this particular point in time with 7 billion different characters whose experience in the simulation actually experience themselves as being real, right? And the theory is that probably, and if say it's 1,000 years from now or 10,000 years from now, where they have the technology to do this, it'll be so easy for them to do it. They won't just do one. They'll literally do like 1,000 of them. Say by the time that our Earth is destroyed, and because the sun fucking explodes, or we destroy it through some terrible fucking act of hubris. By that time, it's likely that they will have created at least 10,000 simulations of just this time, just this particular space time. And everyone in those simulations will think they're a real human living real life, not in a simulation, but actually on planet Earth. This is the theory. And therefore, if that's what's going to happen, and they say it's very likely that will happen, they'd say based on tracking, scientists or theorists or whatever have done probabilities. The probability is that within 100,000 years they will have made 10,000 simulations of this exact point in history and time, and they will have made them so successfully that the characters within those, the 7 billion humans or whatever our population is at the moment. I'm mansplaining it, right? You already get it, okay? You already fucking get it. Here's the deal. Let's just say in the fullness of time, 10,000 of these simulations will have been created. What that means is we, as humans living in this space-time, have a 1 in 10,000 chance of being real. We only have a 1 in 10,000 chance, because whether we were born the first one before the simulations had been made, or we were one of the simulations, we'd feel exactly the same. We'd feel just as true, just as real. It doesn't make any difference. That's simulation theory, I think. And they tell this to Joe Rogan. Different people explain this to Joe Rogan, and he goes, but we're the first one. We're the real one before they made the simulations. And the guys go, yeah, well, we could be. But there's only a 1 in 10,000 chance of that. It's more likely that we're, the 9,900, whatever the fuck, it's more likely we're in the simulation, right? We've only got a 1 in 10,000 chance of being real. We've got more chance that we're a simulation. And Joe's like, why can't we just be the first one? And they're like, yeah, well, we can be the first one. There's a 1 in 10,000 chance we're the first one. And he just can't get it. I don't know why he can't get it. It seems real simple to me. So it's more likely with a simulation, right? But here's the thing. Here's the thing, folks. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow. If you're hearing simulation theory for the first time, you're like, Tommy, don't fucking drop that on me. I thought I was real. Now you're telling me I'm a fucking character in a fucking simulation? I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I know that's a pretty hard pill to swallow. But here's the thing, it doesn't fucking matter. Yeah, it does matter, because the thing in the simulation is just fucking noughts and ones. It's just fucking noughts and ones. I want to be flesh and blood. But here's the thing, guys, you're not noughts and ones, and you're not flesh and blood. You're neither of those things. We've already discovered that the flesh and blood is all just fucking space. It's like we say we're 90% water. We're not 90% water. We're a tiny little bit of water. Apparently 2 drops of water could fit all the water of the whole population of the earth in it if you took out all the fucking space. Every atom in our body, every core, we're just space. We're just space. We're not really matter at all. You know what I mean? Whether we're flesh and blood or we're noughts and ones, it makes no difference, guys, because we're consciousness. We're consciousness. It doesn't matter if we're the simulation consciousness or we're the human consciousness. We're consciousness. Now, if you think we're a human, like a physical, biological human, and we have a soul versus a character in a simulation, you will be terribly disappointed, because now your soul's gone, right? Because now you're only the character in the simulation instead of being the flesh and blood human who has a soul that goes to heaven. And in that case, just think you're not in the simulation. Just think you're not in the simulation. You still get to have your soul. Here's the thing. I'm telling you, everything is soul. I'm telling you, everything is soul. Fucking Mario is soul. The idea of a unicorn, not a flesh and blood unicorn, just the idea of a unicorn is soul. A Coca-Cola can is soul. God doesn't have any magic bricks, any magic clay to make this shit out of. All God can make shit out of is God. Whether we're in a simulation or not, it doesn't matter. We are consciousness. And here's something funny, that I wrote this down as something I wanted to say, and then I decided I did a false version of this podcast, and I didn't get to it. And now I've kind of come around to it from a different angle. I have little notes that I write that I want to say at some point during the podcast, and I never get to them. But this one is directly relevant. It says, when you realize that everything is just an object of consciousness, and I know that's a big leap. A lot of people say, well, I don't believe that. So the whole starting premise of what you're about to say is fucked. But it's what I believe, you know. This is my truth anyway. When you realize that everything is just an object of consciousness, you realize that all objects of consciousness are equally real and equally alive. Whether they're a thing on earth, or a thing in a dream, or a thing in a meditation, or a thing in a video game. Everything is an object of consciousness. Everything is made of consciousness, so everything is equally real. The passing vision of a temple in your imagination, in your meditation or something, that is as real as the physical church down the street. In that sense, it doesn't matter if we're humans on earth, or humans in the matrix, or humans in a simulation, because we're all as much a part of spirit as everything else is. In that sense, I don't believe I have a soul. I don't believe I have a soul. I believe I am soul. And the soul that I am says, I don't care if you get the words right, Tommy. I don't care if you get the words right. I don't care if you make mistakes. I see how hard you try. I see what you're trying to do down here. And I love you. I don't forgive you, Tommy, because there's nothing to forgive. You make mistakes all the fucking time. And you apologize sincerely and do your very best to repair and make amends directly with the people you harm. You are not going to get everything right. And that should never, ever be your objective. Trying to be kind, trying to be honest the way you do. You have nothing to be ashamed about, my love. You're doing a very good job. And I wish all of you were so kind to yourselves. Because what I said just then doesn't just apply to me. You might think you're not trying hard enough some days. And maybe some days you're not. But down here in this dense 3D reality, trying looks different for different people at different times. I think you are trying. And if you want to try a little bit harder, then join the fucking club. Join the club, my woo-woo fucking friends. Because I want to try a little bit harder too. And some days I'm successful, and some days I'm just not. But I fucking love it that you got that in you. I just wish we could all be a little bit kinder sometimes. To ourselves and to each other. I just wish, I just wish I just wish, I just wish for this. I just wish, I just wish for this. I just wish for this, for this. One day I write a book, one day I sing a song, one day I do a dance. One day I meet a man, one day I find a girl, one day I take a chance. One day I say something that someone will repeat. It'll help. I'm trying to help you, my friends, and I'm trying to help myself. There's no one else but everyone else. Here's to your health, here's to your health, yeah, here's to your health. We move in step, we avoid wealth, here's to your health. And everyone else. Hey, if you guys like this thing, please share it with your friends. I really appreciate it.